Level 1. The envelope. You are not special. This is important to understand before anything else. You are 31 years old and you are 3 months behind on rent, and your bank account has a number in it that is technically negative, and the eviction notice on your door has been there long enough that you have stopped seeing it the way you stop seeing anything that stays in one place too long. You had a job. The job ended in the specific way that jobs end, when the company decides that the cost of keeping you exceeds the cost of losing you, and the decision is communicated in a meeting that lasts 11 minutes and involves a woman from HR you have never met before and will never see again. You are not bitter. You are past bitter. Bitter requires energy, and energy requires something to eat, and the refrigerator contains a situation you have been avoiding looking at directly for 4 days. The mailbox contains one envelope. No return address. No postage. Someone placed it there by hand, which means someone came to this building, to this floor, to this mailbox specifically, and put this envelope in it. You do not know anyone who would do this. The envelope is heavy in the specific way of something that contains more than paper. Inside is a card. The card is cream-colored and has no logo and no letterhead, and the text on it is printed in a font so clean it looks designed, rather than typed. It says, "There are people who shape the world. There are people who watch it be shaped. You have been selected for the former. If you are ready, send one message to the number below. Do not discuss this with anyone. Do not photograph this card. You have 48 hours. You stare at it for a long time. Then you look at the eviction notice. Then you look at the card again. You send the message. The reply comes in 43 seconds, not minutes, seconds, which means someone was waiting. Which means the 48 hours was not an actual deadline. Which means the selection, whatever it is, has already happened and the card was not an offer. It was a notification. Report to the following address tomorrow at 9 a.m. Dress professionally. Tell no one. You do not sleep. Not because you are afraid. Exactly. Because something has shifted in the specific way that things shift when a door opens that you did not know existed, and the opening of it makes the room you were in feel suddenly smaller than it was a moment ago. You go. Of course you go. The alternative is the eviction notice. Level 2. The Apprentice. The address is a building in Midtown Manhattan that has no name on the exterior. The lobby contains a reception desk staffed by a woman who seems to have been expecting you with a specificity that is unsettling. She uses your name before you say it. She hands you a badge that already has your photograph on it, and she directs you to an elevator with a floor number that does not appear on the panel until she presses a card to a reader you did not notice. The elevator opens onto a floor that looks like any other corporate floor, and nothing like any corporate floor you have ever been on. Because every person you can see is moving with a purpose, so focused that the movement itself communicates something you cannot name. A man meets you. He does not give his name. He tells you that you have been placed in a position at a firm and that the position comes with a salary and a responsibility and a contact, and that the contact will instruct you. He hands you a phone. The phone is not your phone. It is a phone for a specific purpose, and the specific purpose is the contact. The firm is real. You look it up. It has a website and a history and real clients and real offices. You have a real desk and real colleagues who believe you were hired through a real process. You were not hired through a real process. You were placed. The distinction matters in ways you will understand later and that you are not ready to understand yet. The contact messages you on the second day. The message tells you which report to read before the morning meeting. You read it. In the morning meeting, you reference the report in a way that impresses the senior partner in a way that impresses the room. The contact messages you again that evening. It says, "Good tomorrow. Meet the following person at the following location. Listen more than you speak. Report everything." You meet the person. You listen. You report everything. The promotion comes 8 weeks later. Your colleagues cannot explain it. They have been here for years. You have been here for 8 weeks. They think you are exceptional. You are not exceptional. You are guided. The guidance is so precise that exceptional and guided are producing identical results, which raises a question about the difference between the two that you file away for later, because later is when you can afford to think about it, and now is not later. The salary is $340,000. You pay the back rent, you pay 3 months forward, you buy food, you sleep. The contact messages that night, remember, we found you when you had nothing. Everything you have now exists because we allowed it to exist. This is not a warning. It is context. Context helps people make good decisions. You read this 3 times, you save it. Then you delete it because the contact told you never to save messages and you do not know yet how much that instruction matters. Level 3, the node. 18 months in, you are no longer at a desk. You are at events. Charity galas, private dinners, invitation-only gatherings in rooms that are not listed on any public calendar and that are attended by people whose names appear in newspapers and whose presence in this room would themselves be news if anyone outside the room knew they were here. You are in these rooms because someone decided you should be in these rooms, and the someone is the contact and the contact is something. You have stopped trying to define because the definition keeps expanding. Your job in these rooms is simple and impossible simultaneously. You are there to listen, to be present, to remember, and to become the kind of person that the people in these rooms find interesting enough to talk to. Oh, you are building a network that you did not design and do not fully understand, but that you are a node in, and the node is becoming more central with every room you enter. The congressman's aide tells you about a bill that has not been announced. You report it. The tech founder's assistant mentions a product launch timeline. You report it. The diplomat's colleague references a negotiation that is not public. You report it. You are not a spy in the sense of the word that involves tradecraft and dead drops. You are a spy in the sense of the word that involves being a person that other people trust with information. They should not be sharing it because you are in the room and you seem like the kind of person who should be in the room. The contact responds to your reports with brevity that communicates more than elaboration would. Good, very good. This is useful. Occasionally, do not pursue this further. You do not pursue it further. The instruction not to pursue something is itself information. It tells you that the thing you found is something the contact already knows about or something the contact does not want you to know about, and either way, the instruction is absolute. You are being watched, not by authorities, by the organization. You understand this the way you understand things in this world, not because anyone tells you, but because the texture of certain interactions contains information that the surface of those interactions does not. Someone is always in the room who seems peripheral and is not peripheral. Someone is always at the edge of a conversation who seems disinterested and is not disinterested. You are being assessed continuously, and the assessment never ends, and the passing of it is demonstrated not by being told you passed, but by being invited to the next room. The next room is different from the rooms before it. The people in the next room do not appear in newspapers. They do not need to. Level 4. The architect. 4 years in, you understand now what you did not understand at the beginning. The organization is not a secret society in the sense that movies and conspiracy forums describe secret societies. It is not a single entity with a hierarchy and a headquarters and a grand plan. It is a network so old and so distributed that the people inside it disagree about its precise nature, and the disagreement does not matter because the function continues regardless of the disagreement. The function is this. The concentration of information produces the concentration of influence, and the concentration of influence produces outcomes, and the outcomes, accumulated over time, produce the shape of the world. You are producing outcomes, not dramatically, not in the sense of giving orders that are followed by armies, in the sense of being present in the conversations where decisions are made and being the person who shapes how those conversations go. A bill moves forward, an acquisition is blocked. A candidate receives funding. A story is killed before it is published. None of these things are traceable to you. None of these things would be traceable to anyone who knows what they are doing, and you have been taught by people who have been doing this for longer than you have been alive. The money is a fact now rather than a relief. You stop tracking it in the second year. The penthouse is pleasant in the way that things are pleasant when they have stopped being surprising. What is not pleasant, what keeps the mind working when the body wants to stop, is the question you have been carrying since the envelope. Why you? The contact has never explained the selection. The man in the lobby on the first day did not explain it. Nobody has explained it, and you have not asked, because asking would communicate something about your understanding of the situation that you do not want to communicate. But the question persists. There were other people in that city, in that building, in apartments with eviction notices and negative bank accounts, and no energy left. Why the envelope went to your mailbox and not theirs is a question whose answer you do not have, and that the absence of makes every other thing you know feel slightly provisional. You are invited to a meeting, not a gala, not a dinner, a meeting. 12 people in a room in a location you are driven to, in a vehicle with blacked out windows so that the location is not something you can identify afterward. The 12 people are not introduced. You recognize 3 of them. The recognition produces a specific kind of disorientation, the kind that comes from seeing something in context that you have only ever seen out of it. They know your name, they know your work. They tell you that you are ready for the next phase. You do not ask what the next phase is. They tell you anyway. Level 5. The question. 7 years in. The walls are closing. Not in the dramatic sense. In the administrative sense, that is more frightening than the dramatic sense, because it is real. A journalist has your name, not your network name, your actual name. She is asking questions about the gala where you met the congressman's daughter 6 years ago. She is asking about a company whose stock moved in a way that correlates with information you passed the contact in year 2. She is careful. She is thorough. She is the kind of journalist who exists specifically to find the thread that when pulled unravels. The thing that was designed to be unraveled. The contact tells you the journalist will be managed. The contact has said this before, and the journalist has always been managed, and you have never asked what managed means because managed has always meant that the story does not run, and the journalist moves on, and the thread is cut. This time, the contact takes longer to respond. This is new. You are sitting in the penthouse that was purchased with money that exists in accounts in jurisdictions whose cooperation with American law enforcement is theoretical rather than practical. You are sitting with a glass of something that costs more than the monthly rent you could not pay 7 years ago. You are sitting with the question that has been sitting with you since the envelope. Why? You. The answer, you understand now, is the same answer as everything else in this world, because you were useful. Because the specific combination of your desperation and your intelligence and your willingness to follow instructions without requiring them to be explained made you the correct instrument for the function you were assigned. The selection was not destiny, it was logistics. You were a resource that the organization needed in a location where you happened to be available. This is the thing about the organization that the conspiracy forums get wrong. They imagine intention where there is system. They imagine mythology where there is mechanism. The organization does not have a grand plan for humanity. It has a function, and the function is the maintenance of its own continuity and the expansion of its own influence, and you are part of the function the way a gear is part of a machine, not because the machine chose the gear, but because the gear fits. You have fit for 7 years? The fitting has produced a life that the 31-year-old with the eviction notice could not have imagined and would not have been able to evaluate correctly, even if he could have imagined it, because evaluation requires the ability to see what the life costs, and the cost is only visible from inside it. The contact messages, the journalist has been managed. You are safe. There is a new assignment. Report to the following address. You look at the message for a long time. Then you look at the penthouse, the city below. The account balances that exist in jurisdictions whose cooperation is theoretical. Then you look at the message again. The address is in a city you have never been to. The assignment is something you have never done before. The contact does not explain it. The contact never explains. You have 48 hours to respond. The question is not whether you will respond. You will respond. You have always responded. The responding is the function, and the function is what you are now and what you were 7 years ago. In that apartment with the eviction notice and the negative balance was not a version of you that is recoverable. That version left the way the Spartan boy left, gradually and then completely and then gone. The question is something else. The question is, somewhere right now there is someone with a negative bank account and an eviction notice and no energy left. The envelope is in their mailbox. They are staring at a card that says there are people who shape the world. They are going to send the message. You know this because you sent the message. Because everyone sends the message. Because the organization has been selecting people like you for longer than you have been alive, and the selection has never stopped, and will never stop, because the function requires a continuous supply of people who have nothing left to lose, and are therefore willing to give everything. The cycle does not require your participation to continue. It requires only that there are always people at the bottom. There are always people at the bottom. The envelope is already in the mail.